let's go ahead and add more content to this web page. Looking at the Lotus folder, we have a few more images to use. And I also want to save some of them for other pages, for the About page. Maybe we have a page for the menu. Maybe we have a order page or contact page. So these two images over here are probably, we can choose one or both of them for the main page. And if you remember the content file that we got from the client, we have already used the first two parts. Now I want to save this section, what sets us apart for an About page. And I want to use this last paragraph or the last two paragraphs for the remainder of the home page or the main web page we are working on. Now, so basically I want to almost repeat the same process we did for the first part of the main section, image and text on the side, but I want to do it a little bit differently to add more variety to the design. So let me just bring this part of the text first over here to my HTML. So I'm still inside the main. So what I want to do now is to add my next paragraph, my next text, and my next image to inside a different design. Not too much different, but just to add a little bit of variety. And I want to use another color for the background for this particular part. And because the logo had a combination of black and gold, I want to go with that. So I'm going to create a div here, a container that is going to hold my new image and paragraph inside. So let's go first with the paragraph that I have copied from the document with the content over here. So that's the text. And after that, I want to add the image. And again, we need to decide what image we want to use. And let's go with this one. Maybe we can change it later, but I'm going to rename this one to main2.jpg, and then I will bring this to my project. Okay, so let's go ahead here and take a look at what we have. It's been added, so I can go ahead and write my image. My source is going to be equal to main2.jpg, and I forgot to check the dimensions of that. Let's take a look. So this one is a 564 by 845. So the width is similar to the one we had before, but the height is obviously larger. This is a portrait type image rather than a landscape type. So this one was a landscape type, 564 by 376. You see these numbers down here. And let me just check if the width is exactly the same. It is 564, 564. So the width of those images are exactly the same. That's good. And it's okay if the height is different. That means we have more space on one side to add text, or maybe we can add some other elements like a button to order or something like that. So let's go ahead and just put the source here without any changes, except we could add the same ID, main image for the image and the main P for the paragraph, so that we don't need to keep repeating the design instructors to make them side by side. So if I basically copy this ID for the image and bring it for the image and the P for the paragraph, they should follow the same rules. Now, remember something that I have done intentionally. It was image and then paragraph, which means when I made them inline, image would be on the left side and the paragraph would be on the right side. In this div, I have made it opposite. So first I put the P, meaning that the paragraph this time is going to be on the left, and the image is going to be on the right. So again, just a little bit of variety, and I have these two added inside a div that I'm going to go ahead and design a little bit. So let me go ahead and add my div and ID, and I'm going to call this gold, because the main job of this div is going to change the background color for these two elements to gold. Now, before I make any changes for the background color, let's see if my paragraph and my image are on the screen with the same order as I wanted them to be. So there you go. I have my image and the text side by side. Now this is the new text, and they are, as you can see, they're sitting in opposite order. That's beautiful. Now one thing I want to do is and I'm going to make this change for both of them, to change the alignment. Now, because this text is way shorter in height than the image, it would make more sense if the alignment was on the top. And that's one thing I want to do for both of them so that they match in that respect. And another thing I want to do is probably add just a little bit more margin so that these two images they don't look like they are touching each other if there was no text over here. So basically this line between them that you see, I don't want this line to, these images to overlap over this line right here. So let's go ahead and make those changes. First thing I want to do is to change the vertical align to top for both of them. Secondly, I want to increase the margin from 1 to 1.5 for between them, and I still want to add a little bit more margin on the top and at the bottom of both of them so that it's going to separate them further from each other in terms of vertical space. Let's go ahead and check the changes we have made up to this point. Okay, that's more beautiful. So you see how things changed over here. They're no longer overlapping the line between them, and now we have the alignment on the top, and there is also margin on the top as well. So that's beautiful. Now the second thing we wanted to do was to give this whole thing a different background color to make it a little bit of a contrast between the two, and we want the background color to be similar to the color you see here on the logo. I think it's similar to the gold color. Maybe we can play with the color code a little bit to get it exactly right. So adding a little bit more color, but not making it too colorful. So that's very important when you are designing a web page. Don't go with more than 2 or 3 colors, and try to stay consistent in terms of the branding of any business. So what I'm doing here is just follow the branding colors that I saw on the logo provided by the client. So let's go ahead and add that, and let's see if that effect is going to make the whole thing more beautiful. I will select my ID gold, which is the ID of a div or the container for the second paragraph and the image, and I will change the background color here to gold. And then I will compare to see if that's close enough to the logo we have, or maybe this goldenrod might be a better color. And again, we can go ahead and use this color palette here to refine the colors as much as we want. So let's go ahead and take a look. There you go. Okay, that's beautiful. We have now created this div with a different color. That's a nice contrast, and the background color of the second div is similar to the color on the logo. Now again, we can go back, get the exact code and make it be the exact color, but I think it's close enough at the moment. And this image matches everything beautifully. Now, one thing I want to try is, at the moment, it looks like a contained box. What if we go ahead and make the div with the gold background color 100% in width, so that it goes all the way to the left and all the way to the right. So it's like the main box with a different background color. So let's go ahead and see if that's something we can do. I will change the width to 100%. And let's see if we get what we wanted. No, it didn't give us the exact 100%. So let's take a look and see if we can fix that by figuring out what is giving us this line. So I'm going to select this one. I'm inspecting the page to see which element is responsible for what I have here. And I think I realized it, and that is something that I just forgot from a few minutes ago. So you see this line on the left and the right that I'm looking at, this is the padding coming from the main. So anything that's a child of the main is going to follow that particular padding, which we added a few minutes ago as a result of bringing this whole thing further inside so that it's not touching the left border and the right border. And you can see if I select this, you will see here that we have a padding left and right of 5 EM. If we didn't have those 5 EM paddings, then this one would have a width of 100%. So here is a good question. How can we fix that? So first of all, let me show you how it looks without the padding. So that width problem is going to be resolved if we didn't have these two paddings. Take a look. There you go. Now you see this is 100% width of the screen on both of them. Now, I think we could go without the padding now, because the reason we added the padding earlier was this text was underneath the image, and it was going all the way from left to right of the whole screen. And it was too close to the left border and too close to the right border. After we changed the display to inline block, the padding issue for the left and right automatically is resolved. So we don't need to any longer have those paddings, and basically we can go with this design, which is way more beautiful, covering everything from left to right. Now, you might say, wait a second, it's better than before, but we're still not exactly at 100%. You might see that there's a few pixels left on the left and on the right to be exactly 100% of the width. And what might cause those? Well, those are sometimes caused by the default padding and margin coming from the HTML and the body of the biggest parents, the grandparents of the HTML document. Let's test that idea and let's see if that's what's causing the issue. And in order to fix that, you remember that I gave my body a background color of black. Now that's what I do see on the left and right, but the yellow one on the main is not completely covering that. And what it's telling me is that body comes with some default padding of its own. The default padding, which can be removed by specifically writing the padding here to be equal to 0. So let's see here. See this tiny few pixels you have on the right side of the gold background, and same thing on the left. We want to get rid of those. And let's see if we can do that by changing the default padding of the body to 0. Let's go padding equal to 0. And let me also do the same for margin, just in case. And testing it, refresh the page, and now there you go. Now it's really 100%. It's really touching all the way to the scroll bar you see over here. So now we're looking at a real 100% width for the second div as well as the first div. Now I want to add a little bit more space between these two, still a little bit more. How can I do that? I can add a little bit margin on the top of my gold div. So let's add margin top 3 EM. I want really good space between them. I want everything to, okay. This is the extra space. And I want to do the same thing inside here. So let me also add padding. top 3em. So remember, the margin is the space outside and the padding is the space inside. If you remember these green arrows that I was talking about, these represent the padding, and the margin are these red arrows outside of the element. So from the left, from the top, bottom, and the right side. So the red ones are the margins, the green ones are the padding. So do you want more space outside of your element or inside of your element? Now in this case, I want both. I want margin top, meaning space on the top outside of my gold box. And I also want to have some space on the top, but inside of the golden background div. So let's go ahead and see the result of both. So first I added the space outside. As you can see, there's more space in the black background between the image and the border. Now I want to add more here as well. And there you go. As a result of the padding, you have more space down here, and the result of the margin was more space up there. Okay, beautiful. We're making progress. Now, one thing that's happening here is we have some empty space right here. So our text is over. We had some more content we could bring. I believe it was this last line, indulge in the art of sourdough at Lotus Flour Bakery. Let's also bring this. Maybe we can add some special design to this, different than the paragraph we had on the top, or maybe we can go with the same thing. But then this is going to help us a little bit with that extra space we have. So let's go ahead and bring a new paragraph exactly on the same side as the first paragraph. So I'll create a new P, I'll put in the text, and if it goes with the same design, if I wanted to go with the same design, I'll give it the same ID exactly. Let's take a look. Okay, so that's interesting. So this happened because the ID that I have provided is making it display inline block. So I didn't pay attention to that. In order to remove that, I want this paragraph, this tiny paragraph, which is basically a sentence, to have every design similar to the previous line except the display inline block. So that's causing this issue. So let's go ahead and fix that. In order to do that, I'm going to call this a main P2, which is going to follow all the instructions from main P except the display inline block, which is the same as, which is what we had over here. So let's go ahead and, well, what I can do in order to avoid repeating myself here is probably adding a comma and say, okay, now I have a main P2 paragraph, which is going to follow the same font family and font size and text align and everything, but it is not going to follow the display vertical align and the margin. Let's see if that's causing any new problems, or if it's going to fix the problem we had. Okay, so it did cause a new problem because now we are dealing with a different element here. So how can we fix all of this? This is happening because of having multiple elements following the instructions that we have. So there are different fixes for this. I was hoping not to add any extra parents or elements here, but we might need to do that. So there's different fixes. Fix number one. So let me just remove this part for now. Fix number one, the easiest fix is to include this text within the first paragraph, only add a break line between them. So that's the easiest fix. So you don't need to do anything special. The other fix you can do is to have two paragraphs, but wrap both of them within one parent, and the parent follows the instructions for the text align. So both of them are possibilities. If you do want to have two separate paragraphs, I suggest that you wrap these two in one parent to fix that problem. Or you can simply say, I don't want two paragraphs. I just want one paragraph. I will add this text to the end of the previous paragraph. I will show you both of them. Okay, so first let's go with the easiest way of fixing the problem. So you can copy this, you can go to the end of this paragraph, you can basically paste it, and you can also say, here, also give me a break line. Just send me to the next line in the middle of the paragraph. Okay, so that's one way to fix this instead of having these two. So you can basically remove the second one. I will temporarily remove it so that you can see the result of the first fix. So that's the first fix, okay? So this line is added at the end of our previous paragraph. And by the way, if you want them to be separated further, you can add another BR, another break line, to push this further down. So that's one fix. Another fix is, let me show you the second fix. I will go back to what we had before. I will remove this from this line, go back to the next paragraph, and this is what I want to do for the next fix. For the next fix, I will remove the IDs, and I will say these two paragraphs are going to be part of one container. Let's call it div. I'll bring both of these two paragraphs inside that div. So basically, now we have a new parent on one side, which contains two paragraphs, and then we have the image on the other side, which contains only the image. Now, this div is going to follow the ID of a main P. So the div represents the paragraph, but inside of that, we have two paragraphs. Let's go ahead and take a look. There you go. You have two paragraphs on one side and you have the image on the other side. And I'm going with this one because I do want to have two separate paragraphs here. And you could go with the easier one if you wanted to, but I'm going with this one. I have two separate paragraph tags, and I'm basically controlling both of them within the same parent. Should we add some full stop here or maybe exclamation mark? I think that would be a good idea. Let's do this. We can even change this from a P tag to, for example, an H2 tag or H3 tag to make it a heading, make it more important than the paragraph we have on the top. You see, and it's still following the same font family because it's a child of a div that is following the font that we imported from Google Fonts. Which one do you like more? The P or the larger H1, or maybe we can go, sorry, H2, or maybe we can go with H3, make it a little bit smaller if you want to. So we have lots of options here. So let's try H3. Let's see how it looks. Okay, great. So it's a little bit smaller, but it's bold, and it looks like it's an important line, and we still have some space left here, which I was thinking maybe would be a good idea to add a beautiful button that people can click and go to another page, maybe to order bread now. So let's go ahead and add a button. And good news, if you go with this second solution, adding a parent and inside them the P tag, the H3 tag, now you can add as many elements as you want to stand on the left side of the image. Image is on the right, all of these guys are on the left, and because you created a parent, you basically solved a future problem too. So let's go ahead and use this immediately. What I want to do is to create a button here. Now, this button is going to be basically an A tag, so it's a link to be linked to another page on the website. At the moment, we do not have another page on the website, so the href is going to be empty. So you just put a pound sign or a number sign inside it, which means when you click it, nothing is going to happen, but it's a clickable link. And then we will add some design to it. And what it says is order now. I'm just making this up. We might need to change it based on what the client asks for later. So this A tag, if we give it an ID equal to order, we can then go ahead and design the shape of this button later from the CSS. So at the moment, it's just a simple link that says order now. And it looks like a link to if you go ahead to your design and refresh the page, you will see here it says order now. It doesn't look like a button at the moment. We want to change that. We want to make it look like a button.